Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Giorgio, your friendly neighborhood YouTuber slash podcaster, and I'm back with another episode of Beyond Wrestling, and this is episode 7. And today we're gonna be talking about a lot of different hot topics in the pro wrestling world, and it's gonna be more current day stuff. You know, I know I like to talk about the past, present, and future, but we got a lot of current topics that are going on in wrestling right now. And so basically we're going to be talking about Goldberg returning to the WWE to face the Fiend Bray Wyatt at Super Showdown, which is their international pay-per-view, and it's going to be for the Universal title. And also we're going to be talking about WWE signing the first African American female referee. That's going to be a really good topic. Also, we're going to be talking about what's real and what's fake about pro wrestling. And also, another cool thing happened was Nyla Rose, she won the AEW women's title. So that's, that one's going to be fun to dive into as well. And I hope that you all are doing really well today. I'm just so grateful for those of you who've been listening to the show, mainly on YouTube. We've been getting some decent numbers here and there, but it's all a part of the process, and the long-term goal is to have a bunch of people listening and sharing their ideas and their perspectives with me about pro wrestling, and mainly like the times that they grew up watching when they first discovered it. And so without further ado, without all of the I try to get my little intro in there every day. Make sure you like this video if you're watching it on YouTube. Make sure you leave a 5-star or just a good review on the podcasting apps that you listen to this podcast on. The links will be in the description of the YouTube of my YouTube channel, in case you guys haven't gotten over to the podcasting apps. And so the first topic we're going to be talking about is a really good one that I thought of a week ago, and I had finally got all my little thoughts together on how I was going to do it, and that is what's real and what's fake about professional wrestling. And for those of you who are on Twitter right now, I'm pretty sure that you've probably seen that there was this congressman who was saying, I guess, our president Donald Trump, he did his whole State of the Union address or something, and of course the congressman, he said that I had to walk out of there, and he said it's almost as fake as pro wrestling or something along those lines. And dude, the wrestling community on Twitter, they let him have it. They let him, man, he got the stones. He got the stones from the wrestling community on Twitter. And that was just so crazy, and even Kane chimed in on Twitter, which, can you believe it? Kane's on Twitter, but also, his real name is Glenn Jacobs. He plays the character of Kane. And Glenn Jacobs, he's the mayor of Tennessee and everything, and and I love his elegant response, to this crazy ass politician or congressman, and the thing is, like, people are always trying to, throw this whole notion about how pro wrestling is fake, and they try to do it in a snarky, smart ass way, and they don't have no respect for what the wrestlers do. And the thing is this, I'm gonna tell you guys, is pro wrestling fake? And I know that's probably not the best word to use for it, but pro wrestling is scripted, and that's no secret. And the thing is, it's not even the fans that have exposed that part of the business. It's actually the wrestlers themselves, in the past, who've done shoot interviews and stuff where they pretty much let you know what's going on. So that part of the mystery of pro wrestling, as far as realism and everything, is this is that, the characters, the storylines, the backstage politics, all that stuff is fake. I mean, it's straight up fake. And the thing is, they're no realer. They're no faker, no real, I guess, than your favorite TV shows. You could compare it to that. You could compare it to your favorite movies. Your favorite characters in the movies that you like to watch. They all have the similarities. They were all written, and it's real life people, of course, who play these characters. Now, and honestly, to me, I would use the word scripted to describe pro wrestling, but that's the thing, not all of it is scripted. There is some very real aspects to pro wrestling, and I'm gonna tell you them. Basically, everything that they do inside the ring whenever that bell rings is all real. From the moves that they take, the bumps that they take, the bruises. Sometimes people hit a move wrong, which they call it a botch, and they severely hurt somebody. And of course, that, even though it's not intended to like really, really hurt the person you're in the ring with, like to the point where they have to get surgery and all of that, or their career ends, like that part is not intended. But sometimes it happens and people get hurt. It's all a part of the business. And the thing is, wrestling is kind of like ballet. It really is. It's like a dance. You're only as good as the person you're in the ring with. And so, anytime a wrestler take a punch in the ring, which they have work punches so that they don't like super injure the person, but when somebody slaps them, or they do a body slam on somebody, or they go off the top rope and hit a crazy dive or something, or they hit them with a steel chair, even though they have their hands up, when that steel chair hits them or whatever. That's so that they don't get severely hurt, because if a wrestler gets severely hurt, then they won't be able to continue on, which will affect their pay, will affect their spot on the roster, and that can be a very, very crazy, bad thing for a wrestler to go through. But for people to say that part of wrestling is fake is just, it shows their lack of integrity. It shows their lack of knowledge and education about what pro wrestling is. And the thing is, there's two kinds of wrestling. There's the professional wrestling, which is, very well choreographed and went over. And some people like to call their spots in the ring, or call their wrestling matches in the ring when the match is going on, so that it can appear real. And the thing is about wrestling, you want it to appear as real as possible. You want to get an emotional response from the fans. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is getting an emotional reaction from the fans. And the other style of wrestling is, of course, the amateur wrestling, the college level wrestling, and the Olympic wrestling. That is very much real, because somebody slams you on the ground, you're going to get hurt. And their goal is to keep you on the ground long enough to get that pinfall. Of course, in that style of wrestling, they don't count 1, 2, 3. It's just if you can get your opponent down long enough to where that ref can say, okay, this match is over, then that's all good, And so, it's just, people, you got these politicians and people who don't even want to bother to understand what wrestling is. They criticize it, and you could tell they don't know what the hell they talking about in their own statements, because, and the thing is, another thing that's real about professional wrestling is the miles traveled. These wrestlers, they get beat up sometimes they'll get beat up for like 10-15 minutes if they got to lose or job to somebody, or they could just be, even if they win a match, that's 10-15 minutes in the ring of punishment that their bodies take. And then they gotta get in the car late at night, drive to the next town. If they don't have to fly, they have to drive to the next town, which means they're hurt and they're tired, probably hungry too, and they have to drive to the next town, which that could take 4 hours. It could take 5 hours, depending on depending on like where they are at, and you know. And that could be a very taxing thing on your body. And then sometimes they may not be happy with their position on the car. They're putting in the work, they're putting in the time and everything. And then and then they get sidetracked because of they got to go make sure they make the next town. And that could be very, very hard on them. So that part of the thing is real, and I would even say the backstage politics is real too, to a certain extent, because let's be honest, professional wrestling is not like the NBA or football or baseball, boxing, MMA, track, soccer. It's not like those sports where like you get rewarded if you win. Like, the more you win, the more chances you have of getting that championship. Whereas in wrestling, it's different. You could be really good in the ring, but if you don't connect emotionally with the fans, then then you're pretty much done. You're not going to get a championship, no matter how good you are in the ring. And to me, that is the real part right there. That can really affect the wrestler's life. It eventually messes with their confidence, and then it might take a toll on their mental health. And of course, the surgeries. That stuff takes 6 months. That's 6 months of discomfort. And in my opinion, I feel like pro wrestlers are the toughest people in the world because of what they have to do on a daily basis. And they, it ain't like the other like sports teams and stuff where they play like maybe 1 or 2 games a week, and sometimes it's just 1 game a week. Whereas wrestlers, they have to wrestle 4 or 5 times a week just in order to pay their bills and stuff. And the thing is, they do it for the fans too, obviously. So for all you people who love to try to diss wrestling and say all these stupid crap about how it's fake, yeah, you know what, you're right. You're right to a certain extent. There are certain fake aspects about what wrestling is, but you have to think about the real aspects, which I just mentioned here. And the thing is, and also you won't see most wrestling fans criticizing MMA fighters or a basketball player or football players. We're not gonna do that. At least the mature ones aren't. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that by me explaining the real and the fake, or as I would like to say more respectfully, the scripted parts of professional wrestling, and I hope that you all understand where I'm coming from. And for those of you who are listening, definitely leave me your thoughts on this. And I'll have the email, the Beyond Wrestling email, where you can send in your questions. You can send in your ideas, your feedback about the podcast and how I can make it better, because it's all about improvement. It's all about including you guys, the fans, so we can have some fun topics and stuff. Maybe about old school stuff, because that's what a lot of people grew up listening to. That's what a lot of people grew up watching. And there's a lot of good things that are going on in wrestling right now, but there's also a lot of recovery that needs to go on as well. And so right now we're going to move on to the next topic, which is WWE signing the first female African American referee. That's going to be really cool. Okay, so WWE had signed their first full-time African-American female referee, and her name is independent. Actually, she's an independent wrestler named Aja Smith. And, of course, she was known to wrestling fans as Aja Pereira. And, she had began training at the Performance Center, I think maybe a week and a half ago. And so this is really cool news to me, especially because this happens during Black History Month, which is in February, by the way, the month that we're in right now. And I think this is a really good opportunity for Asia. Obviously, because if we're being honest, the NXT roster, female roster, at least down there in the Performance Center, is full of girls that we've yet to see yet. On NXT during the weekly show, and I think the only way you'll see these girls wrestle is probably at the house shows and stuff. So I think having AJ Smith as a referee, this is a good spot for her right now, at least until things clear up. Until some girls either go up to the main roster or they start getting more girls out of that Performance Center on NXT TV, then we can start seeing AJ Smith there, and I'm really happy for her, and I think this is a really, really great opportunity for her going forward, and I wish her tons of success, and I hope she just makes it happen and show them that, hey, I can be more than a referee. I can do some good stuff in the ring. And I think having her as a backup, like when she comes in and let's say a wrestler gets hurt for whatever reason, AJ Smith could come in and take over, and then and she can show WWE that, hey, you might want to consider using me as a full-time pro wrestling character. So big ups to WWE for that, and I hope they use her very well in the company, in a good way, by the way. And also, you guys, speaking of women, we might as well talk about some other big things that are going on in the women's wrestling world right now. And that is Nyla Rose from All Elite Wrestling. She won their women's championship on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. And this was her rematch against Riho. And I'm so happy for Nyla Rose. She's done such an amazing job as far as making herself believable in the ring, and she's actually the first trans woman to become the women's champion. And I know there's been people online saying a lot of hate comments and a lot of stupid crap about that, and honestly, it shouldn't matter. What matters most is that Nyla Rose is a beast in the ring. She knows how to work, and I feel she's more than capable of carrying that women's division in AEW to better heights. And if we're being honest, Rio just didn't do anything for me when she was the women's champion. Yeah, she might be a good person in real life, and she can work in the ring, but her character and her not being featured on the show in any kind of big storylines and stuff, any kind of talking capacity, that is what, in my opinion, kind of turned me away from her. She just was not appealing on that level, and I feel like Nyla Rose could be a great start to getting this AEW women's division on the right track. And we can see her go up against Britt Baker and Chris Staten Iron, and there's a lot of people on that roster that she could do some good stuff with. Big Swole, a great female black wrestler who's really talented. I would love to see her mix it up with Nyla Rose as well. And Awesome Kong. We cannot forget about Awesome Kong. We can now finally see that mega match right there with Nyla Rose and Awesome Kong. So there's a lot of possibilities, I think, now that can really help AEW's women's division become the talk of the wrestling business. And Nyla Rose being their champion is that right move, in my honest opinion. And if anyone don't like it, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to watch. And that's just the realistic part of that. And and the thing is like this, and I think that was one of AEW's best episodes too, if I'm being honest. I really do believe that what they did last night was a really just from top to bottom one of their best shows. Of course, the whole Cody and MJF segment as well. So yes, big congratulations to Nyla Rose on becoming the AEW Women's Champion. And here's a really cool, fun segment that I feel like could be, really not just fun for me, but fun for all of you who are listening. You can write in to, Beyond Wrestling email that's in the description. You can send in your choices for this next topic, with a question for this next topic right here that I'm going to discuss. And also, you can comment on the YouTube version of this episode as well, which is my YouTube channel is GEORGIO ASMR in all caps and space in between the name or whatever. So this topic right here is my top baby faces and heels in wrestling. Babyface meaning good guy, a good girl, the good character in wrestling, and then of course the heel, which is the bad guy or the bad girl in wrestling. And and I think this is really interesting because this is going to be based on what's been going on in the wrestling business right now, currently, in the past few months. And of course, for those of you who haven't been watching, what's been going on in wrestling currently, you can tell me your favorite baby faces and heels from the times that you were watching wrestling. You can tell me that as well. And again, the email for this podcast is beyondwrasslinpodcast@gmail.com, and it's all lowercase letters and everything. So and definitely send that in, and I can read those on the next episode for everyone to hear. And of course, I will have my social media, so you can write me on social media, like on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. So I'm gonna start with the top heels in professional wrestling from my point of view. And I'm probably gonna just name 5 just to be, just to make it easy, not only for me to answer this, but for those of you who are listening at home or wherever you may be listening to this podcast or show. And so my top 5 heels in wrestling today are, number 1, I have to say, I'm gonna say MJF is number 1. I hate to say, cause I don't even hate to say, I don't know why I had put that word in there, but I have to say it because he's been consistent with his heel heat, which is, the fans hating him. And it's not just on TV, it's off of TV, it's on social media, it's in real life. He is a legit heel in every sense of the word. He's the classic embodiment of what a heel should be. You got a lot of heels in wrestling right now who are just playing it safe. They're playing it really, really safe, and they're trying to be liked by the fans too, like on social media. And if you're gonna be a heel, you gotta do some dirty stuff, not just in the ring, not just in a segment, but outside of the ring as well, because you're playing a character 24/7. This is not like you doing a movie where you just playing an evil character for that particular movie. This is a TV show that is that's episodic, that continues on. So MJF does that better than pretty much anybody right now. And that leads me to my second choice for the top 5 heels is Randy Orton. Now, Randy Orton recently, he beat the hell out of Edge and turned on him, and he did the whole concerto thing. He also destroyed Matt Hardy and everything, but he recently just turned heel. So we'll have to see how this whole heel turn with Randy Orton is going to be over time. But since he recently just turned heel, that's why I had to put him at number 2, because now if he can consistently get some heel heat with the fans, on TV and off TV, then yes, he could eventually get that number 1 spot. But MJF, he's killing it in that regard. And I love Randy Orton. I would actually say this. I will say, just to be even more fair, I will say that Randy Orton is the top heel in WWE. If we're just talking about WWE and excluding wrestling business as a whole, we're just talking about WWE. Randy Orton is the best heel in that company right now. For a minute, it kind of was Baron Corbin, and I know some people may disagree, which I'm going to put Baron Corbin as number 3 on this list, by the way, because Baron Corbin, he's hated outside of the ring, outside of TV, and that's something that I feel like a lot of heels in WWE and even in some parts of wrestling are lacking. And I feel like Baron Corbin, he does that really well, where he can get emotional responses for people, especially at live house shows and outside on social media. And that's what you want. If you're gonna be a heel, you might as well go all the way and make sure that you get that emotional response, because a heel's job, the heel is pretty much in control of the whole story, and the goal is for them to get enough emotional response from the fans to build enough sympathy for the babyface or the good guy or the good girl wrestler, so that fans will want to pay to see the good, the babyface go up and beat the hell out of the heel, either at pay-per-view, which that's the appropriate way to do it, because you can make more money that way instead of just having them beat a heel on TV that fans, and you're not making any pay-per-view money and stuff from, so Baron Corbin does that well, and and so, like I said, if Randy Orton can start getting that kind of heat to where also on social media and even in real life he's getting fans hating him for real, then he will definitely be number 1 and on my list. And so so far we got MJF as number 1, we got Randy Orton as number 2, we got Baron Corbin as number 3, and number 4, now number 4, you know what? I got an idea. Britt Baker just turned heel. Britt Baker just turned heel on AEW Dynamite last week. She did this move where she put this Japanese girl's teeth on this ring rope, but then she jumped in the air with the top rope and jumped on her back, causing the Japanese girl teeth to break. So, Britt Baker, she's starting to slowly finding her way with this new heel turn, and I think she's a great appropriate choice for number 4 on my top heels list. And she even cut a good little promo last night on AEW Dynamite using her real life profession of being a dentist to her advantage, and talking about how these crazy women that she addressed them as like that. She's saying that they got some bad erosion, some bad teeth or whatever it is. They need to be adjusted. And so, it kind of reminds me of this gimmick that Kane or Glenn Jacobs used to play in the mid 90s. He was Dr. Isaac Yankem, and he was playing this evil dentist type of character. It was very cartoonish and all of that, but at the time it kind of was pretty interesting. Kids were scared of this evil dentist because he didn't have perfect teeth. He had really dirty teeth and he wanted to make everybody else's teeth look as bad as his. So Britt Baker, she's kind of doing the opposite with this character, whereas she's trying to she's trying to get rid of their bad teeth and make them have perfect teeth. But I really like that. That's really cool right there, if I say so myself. And then, we got number 5 on the list. And dang, man, you know what? Shoot, I would say Jericho is number 5, but I could replace him with Baron Corbin. I'm thinking about doing that. I might replace Jericho with Baron Corbin, put Jericho as number 3 because, I would say Jericho's a great heel. He really is, but he's more of a cool heel. And the reason I say cool heel is because he's got the fans singing his song, his little rock songs and stuff when he comes out now, and and everything like that. And it's like the fans not supposed to be singing his songs. They're not supposed to really be on his side. If he's a full heel, they should be hating him. They should be wanting to get to him and throw stuff at him and chant really bad names at him. So he's more of a cool heel. He's more of a cool heel. So that's why I was kind of saving him for last, because he's more of a cool heel. Whereas like Baron Corbin, on the other hand, fans legitimately do not like him. And so that's why I was thinking in that realm, So if Jericho really got some crazy heel heat like what MJF is getting, or even now what Randy Orton is getting, then he could definitely go straight to the top of my list. But yeah, I'm gonna have to put Jericho as number 3. Baron Corbin have to be number 5. It was really tough to come down with this list, And so now that we got the top 5, my top 5 heels in wrestling today, I'm gonna talk about the top 5 baby faces, aka good guys or good women in wrestling characters. And number 1, actually this is a pretty easy choice, for number 1. I've got to go with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, he has legit sympathy from the fans. He knows how to get an emotional response from the fans, and honestly, that's what's really, really important. He knows how to get the fans behind. You look at the fans' reaction to when MJF was hitting Cody Rhodes with that belt, when he was doing the whole 10 lashes, and each little hit that he took from the fans, they got more and more behind him. And Cody Rhodes knows how to do that so well, and he gets it from his father, Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes is one of the greatest baby faces of all times because of the ability to grab the fans' attention, not only with his promos but his character and his in-ring work. And Cody Rhodes is going in that same direction right now as one of the best, and I really like that. I really, really do. So that's why he was an easy choice for number 1, So, right now, we're going to go into number 2 on my particular list. And this is my thing. Number 2, this one is kind of crazy cool. I'm going to say, we gotta go with WWE on this one. And man, I'm just trying to think like who really helped, I really enjoy. I'm gonna go with Matt Riddle. I really like Matt Riddle. He's got a good response from the fans. He's really fun to watch. Matt Riddle. Number 3, Keith Lee. Really fun to watch Keith Lee. I love watching Keith Lee. Really great character. He just knows how to get the fans behind you really easily too. Godly. I wanted to try to include a woman on there that, fans really like. And, I'm thinking, wow, this is a tough one because there's so many great ones out there. Godly, man. I'm gonna go with Rhea Ripley. She's really fun. I like Rhea Ripley. She's pretty dope, you know. And I know some of you probably seen Becky Lynch and everything. Thing is this, I feel like Becky Lynch as a babyface is starting to, you know, it's starting to die down for me a little bit. I kind of liked her more when she was chasing for the title, and now is, you know, I'm just not with it like I used to be with her. And I think it's because of her lack of having really good opponents as far as character and storyline wise. Like, she really needs some really good heels to face against that can push her character to new levels. And I feel like Rhea Ripley, she's starting to get there. She really is. And you know, and I think that's a really cool deal right there, you know. And number 5, wow, you know, whoa. And the thing is, you know, and this list could change. This is just where I'm at currently right now. This list could change. You know, I'm gonna say Bianca Belair. I gotta go with Bianca Belair, and she's from NXT, by the way. If you haven't seen Bianca Belair, you need to go and check her out. She's really great, you know. And I would have put Charlotte, but you know, we don't know where the direction. I don't know what's going on as far as if she's a heel or not. And the thing is, when I pick these names, it's based off their emotional response from the fans, you know, on TV, during matches, outside of social media, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And I think Bianca Belair and the thing is, I think she's a babyface. It seems like she is because fans love her and everything. So, and the thing is, she could easily pass for a heel, but I don't think she's no heel. And when I think about heels, I'm thinking about like Randy Orton, MJF level heat, or even Baron Corbin level type of heat. If they get any of those 3 levels of heat from the fans, then I would consider them a top heel. And Bianca Belair, she's definitely leaning more on the babyface side of things, and she does get a big reaction from the fans. And I think she's the truth, and I think that she should be even if they don't put the belt on her in NXT, she should definitely go to the main roster ASAP. And more specifically, I would put her on SmackDown. I feel like SmackDown could really use a star of Bianca Belair's caliber, you know. Maybe Raw, you know. Well, actually, you could put her on Raw. Yeah, you could totally put her on Raw, because I know Shayna Baszler just came up. So if you throw Bianca Belair in the mix on Raw, I think that would be really fun. I think that would be really fun for sure. You know, either way, she needs to be on the main roster because she just has the talent. And so, yeah, you guys, that's my top 5 baby faces and top 5 heels in the business. And this could very well change. And this list probably will change soon, you know, as time goes on, because someone can always come along and impress me more. And, you know, once they do that, I'm going to change the list, and I'll come back and do another episode with my list. And also, if you guys let me know your choices, I will include yours in that particular video as well. And you know, probably the next 2 episodes or so, I do my favorites from the old school days. And so, now that we've talked about that, it's time to talk about the big topic right now. And, which, you know, I guess you could say is the headline of this whole podcasting episode. And that is Goldberg versus the Fiend at WWE Super Showdown for the Universal title. Alright, yeah, you know, and there's a lot of, and you know, this whole decision or the news of Goldberg facing the Fiend Bray Wyatt at WWE Super Showdown, you know, I know it has a lot of fans, kind of, and just been mixed reactions from a lot of fans. And this is the thing, like, this is gonna be an overseas show, mainly with the Saudi Arabian people over there, and they love the legends. They love, the legendary stars, because you have to think about it from their point of view. They don't always see a lot of the current stuff like we have, and unless, like, until like years after or whatever. And so when they see a star like Goldberg, that's a big deal to them, and a lot of us WCW fans. And people love to hate on Goldberg and everything. The thing is, Goldberg to me is fun to watch because he's hard hitting. He has a great intensity type of character. He has one of the coolest entrance musics in the game, in the wrestling game for sure. And his entrance to the ring is crazy cool too. And I love his jackhammer and his spear, which inspires so many other people to do a spear as their wrestling move. Everybody's doing the spear nowadays. Goldberg popularized that. And I think this is a good money match for that particular show. It's not like it's going to be on WrestleMania. And the thing is this. And I know a lot of people I guess they're worried that maybe Goldberg will win the Universal title or whatever from Bray Wyatt. And the thing is this. Even, let's say that does happen. Goldberg can always lose it, at the Elimination Chamber or, or whatever. I would even have them defend the Universal title on SmackDown against the Fiend, and then you could have him you can have the Fiend beat Goldberg there. They used back in WCW Nitro, they used to have world title matches on the show, and that was just a way to compete with the WWE or the WWF back in the day. And so, but me personally, if I'm booking this, I have the Fiend beat Goldberg because it will make the Fiend even more stronger, even more powerful. And obviously, I think the end game to all of this is going to be Daniel Bryan. Obviously, Daniel Bryan's kind of mad. If you've been paying attention to the story, Daniel Bryan's kind of pissed. He's not happy about the fact that Goldberg is facing the Fiend instead of him. And I do believe that Daniel Bryan will be the one to beat the Fiend for the first time. I think so. I mean, that's at least what I would do. And the thing is, having Goldberg win really wouldn't do anything for anybody, if we're being honest. And I love Goldberg. I mean, if he won, I'm not going to be mad about it. But at the same time, we're talking about putting over a character like The Fiend, who's supposed to be one of the most powerful wrestlers in the company right now. And so you have the Fiend be a character or a wrestler the likes of Goldberg. That puts him at this super high level. That means Daniel Bryan will have to go through enormous lengths to try to beat the Fiend. So, and I do think that's the thing, because Daniel Bryan, he's still in this story, so we're gonna see the Fiend versus Daniel Bryan again in some form or fashion. We're gonna get that match for that Universal title, and I do think the end game is for Daniel Bryan to get the win because he's the fan favorite. He's the babyface, and eventually, we're gonna be paying to see him face Bray Wyatt again. But for this particular pay-per-view, I don't mind it. I think it's going to be a fun matchup. Obviously, with Goldberg, hopefully, accidents happen in the ring. I know a lot of fans like to harp on what happened with that match with him and The Undertaker. But, things happen. Plus, these people are wrestling in that hot temperatures out there, and it's just a part of the whole business, think when accidents happen and everything like that. But hopefully though, like I said, this will be a really good matchup. Everything works out. I say don't make it a long match. Do not make it a long match. Just for Goldberg's sake, because it's been a minute since he was in the ring, because it's been a while since he was in the ring with The Undertaker. Time has passed since then. Some time has, should I say. So, you don't want to have him in that ring for a long time. You just don't. And I think the long matches with Goldberg is not his strong suit. It never was. So having a short match, is the best route to go if you're gonna have Goldberg on your on your program. And there's nothing wrong with that because it makes Goldberg look strong, and it also helps Bray Wyatt. Because if Bray Wyatt beats Goldberg in a quick fashion, then that's gonna be crazy because we can be like, dang, like, and this is what I think is gonna happen. The bell rings. Goldberg hits Bray Wyatt with a spear, lays him out, but Bray Wyatt gets up. So Goldberg hits him with another spear, and Bray Wyatt slowly gets up, and then he hits him with the jackhammer, but Bray Wyatt kicks out at 1. That will really just that's how you would do that matchup. And eventually, Bray Wyatt comes back and he gets the win. Soon as Goldberg comes in for a spear, Bray Wyatt can hit him with a clothesline or something. Or when Goldberg goes for another spear, Bray Wyatt can hit him with the Sister Abigail. He can catch him and hit him with that move. Then he can put the mandible claw on him and just have him tap out like that. That's how you put over Bray Wyatt without making Goldberg look weak. So that's how I would do that particular matchup. And I'm curious, how would you guys book Goldberg versus Bray Wyatt? And obviously it's going to be fun to read your responses and everything, but nonetheless, thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Beyond Wrestling. And it was fun talking about the many different topics that I covered in this particular episode. I didn't want, because it was about to be like at the 20-minute mark, and I was like, that's just too short for a talk show or a podcast. So I wanted to try to get a little bit longer so we could cover more fun topics and everything. And, I'm thinking about doing this episode Tuesday and Thursdays because there's always new wrestling news in the wrestling world. And obviously you can't cover everything on one particular show. So I'm thinking about doing it Tuesdays, and, on Tuesdays, we could call it Hot Take Tuesdays, where I just do like 3 topics. It could be like a little short show where I can kind of get in some current topics that are going on. And of course, Thursday, we go more in depth with some of those stories, as well as, some classic stuff, from wrestling. And because there's some news that I didn't want to cover in this episode, because then we'll be here all night, and nobody don't want to do that. So so I'm thinking Tuesday and Thursday around the afternoon time, like maybe 6 o'clock. This episodes should be up, And thank you all for listening in on this. Curious to know what you think of the episode. Be sure to share this on your social media. Share it with your friends and family who love wrestling and everything. That way, more people know about what's going on with Beyond Wrestling, what's going on with my YouTube channel, and what's going on in the wrestling community. Because without everyone's input, you can't grow. Anyways, catch you guys next time. Peace out.